Hello, beautiful people. Welcome into another edition of the Fat Guy Podcast. I am the Fat Guy. Most people just call me Brett, though. I have people call me a lot worse. So I'm a guy who's been overweight since I was 6 or 7, I think. When I look back over my childhood pictures, it seems like probably about the oldest I am where I look normal is in the 4 or 5 year old range, I think. Maybe starting at 6, you start seeing a little pudge. It's weird because you see when I see people with baby pictures where they're so fat, like they had legs so fat they could hardly walk. See these babies, their legs just have rolls and rolls of fat, but they grow up to be thin. And I was a thin baby. I wasn't super small, but I think I only weighed 7 pounds and something. I don't remember the exact amount, but yeah, I was just a regular looking baby. Regular looking 1, 2, 3, 4 year old, and then I don't know, 5 or 6, man. The weight just started and never stopped. Anyway, my high weight was 407 pounds. That's what it was when I started my weight loss journey. As of today, I'm happy to report that I'm back under the 300s again after having a little bit of weight gain, which will kind of be the subject of the podcast today. But what was it, 299.7 today? It was 299.7, I think, 299.8. Anyway, we lost like 110 pounds, and so it's just been good. Ketogenic diet is what I follow, and I haven't talked about this a ton in the podcast. But if you don't know me personally or through Facebook or whatever, you may not know that my mother passed away September the 7th, after an extended battle with ovarian cancer. And I'd say about coming up this time last year is when things turned. She had chemo last year, and I think she got off of it in August. And she always bounced right back after, 6 rounds of chemo. And August, September, or whatever it was, heading into August, September, she didn't bounce back. She was still very weak. The cancer didn't get, beat back very much at all. And things went downhill from there. They really started going downhill in November, and my mom fought a valiant fight. But nevertheless, she lost that battle, and it was just very stressful. She lived with me since last November. I was her full-time caretaker, and so even through all that stress and everything and all that stuff, I continued to lose weight. The ketogenic diet made it really easy, and it worked out well for her because she couldn't eat anything, and it was hard to get calories in her, and the only way I could was by giving her ketogenic foods, which is a lot of oils, really. But I would do like we'd do no-carb protein mixes like Isopure, and I'd mix a lot of oils and stuff in there with it, fats like high heavy whipping cream, sesame oil, things would be high fat, calorically dense, and that worked for a long time. And I believe it slowed the cancer because none of the chemo was working. And my mom got so tired of that. She got so tired of everything. And I think it was in July, she just didn't want to do the keto thing anymore. She's like, I want to try to eat food that I like. And I can tell you this, almost exactly to the day that she started trying to eat food she liked. And she still didn't eat much. Don't get me wrong. She wasn't really eating anything. But things she did start eating had a lot of carbs in it. And the cancer just exploded at that point. And but chemo wasn't doing anything. And my point is that we spent the last month of our life in a hospital. The last 2 weeks of that were particularly rough. The last week of it was really rough, psychologically, mentally, emotionally, physically draining. Through all that, I remained keto, though. I remained ketogenic. Stress levels high. It wasn't until 2 or 3 days before my mom died that I just broke down and ordered a pizza from Papa John's. And my Aunt Helen was with me in the room that day, and she ate a piece of it. But other than that, I ate the rest of it. She ate one piece, and I ate the entire Papa John's pizza that day. My mom passed away a few days later, and I'd already made most of the arrangements. There was 1 or 2 things to do, but I basically just laid in bed and ate until the day of the funeral, which pulled myself up, made myself way to the funeral, and And then that weekend I left to go to the casino for a week. I had been planning that forever. I just wanted to get away. And boy, did I live it up at the casino. A lot of people deal with stress by not eating. I've always been a person who deals with stress by eating. And so it was, I don't know if you call it stress or depression or whatever it was, but I dealt with it by eating lots of bad stuff. So I went from being ketogenic for 8 months, 20 carbs or less a day, very strict about it, to being in Biloxi at a casino where literally every meal 3 times a day was pastries, donuts, Bavarian cream, Boston cream, cheesecakes, chocolate milk, these types of things. And then at night, and I wouldn't stay up long. I would stay up during the day most days, and I'd play a little roulette or play a little blackjack or play a little something. Basically, I was just killing time between buffets. And then at like 8 or 9 o'clock at night, very early, not a typical casino trip for me where I rarely spend time in the room at all. I'd go to bed at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. I wouldn't go to sleep. I'd go to the gift shop and I'd grab a bunch of donuts, Ho-Hos, Twinkies, cupcakes and stuff and take it to the room, and I would just lay there and just watch TV and just eat. And I ate and ate. So anyway, after all of that was over and I got back home, I'd been from my lowest weight, which was 298 or 297, something like that. I was back up to 310. And so I've continued to be a junk food eater. Matter of fact, I still hadn't cooked. So from September the 7th, so we're coming up on October the 7th, so full month since my mom died. And the first time I cooked anything really was yesterday. Now, I've heated some things up in the microwave, but I made bacon and I made eggs and stuff. It was yesterday's the first time I've cooked. But I've just eaten junk food. Now, about a week and a half ago, I said, look, man, you're just going to ruin all this progress. You've had your pity party. You've binged out on carbs. You hated it. You felt horrible, by the way. I felt horrible on carbs. The only time eating the cheesecake is good is while you're eating it. After that, you feel horrible. Your stomach feels horrible. Heartburn, which I hadn't had in years, came back. Joint pain, joint aches, bloated feeling, just every bad feeling ever came. It just all came back. It was horrible. The only time I enjoyed eating the cheesecake and the donuts and stuff was while I was actually putting them in my mouth. Any other time than that, I just felt miserable. Anyway, so a week and a half ago or something, I'm like, man, you can be depressed. You can embrace the depression. You can embrace the grief. You can embrace the need to eat junk food, but you need to at least make it ketogenic. So I know some decent ketogenic companies that make junk food, and I came up with a plan, ordered some stuff online, went to Publix and bought some stuff, and set myself up to be a junk food keto eater. And so I've eaten junk food keto for the last right at 2 weeks. And this would be in the forms of low-carb wraps that would have various sausages or hot dogs or things in them, various types of cheeses and meat snacks and, pepperoni and pork skins and things of that nature. And then I ordered from No Foods. I ordered some of their donuts, their cookies, their bread, their waffles. And then from Quest, I ordered Quest's protein chips, and I ordered their sour cream and cheddar, their sour cream and onion, and their barbecue flavored. And so I just eat a bunch of wraps. And for the wraps, my wrap I bought, it's called Flat Out Flatbread, and they have a low calorie or a light. I think they call it light. So it's Flat Out Flatbread, and they're really long. They're oblong and really long. Not like a tortilla wrap, which is round. These things are long and oval shaped. And one of them has 6 net carbs. Well, I can cut it in half and either cram 2 hot dogs in there or cram a real big sausage or real big, I like those chicken and cheddar Applegate sausages. And you can cram one of those in there and wrap it up with some mayonnaise and mustard. And so you're getting, bread to eat it, but it's not really bread. But you just get a half of one. So you're only getting 3 net carbs. You get a half of one. And that's what I did. So that's that's how I facilitated that. Also bought some of the No Foods slices, which is their version of bread. Those are very thick and very heavy, but I have eaten them. I like to eat peanut butter on them. So I've had some peanut butter sandwiches. What I'll do with that bread, though, if you decide to buy it, that bread really is thick and it really is heavy. I have a bread knife, and I slice those bread slices in half. So one slice really is 2 slices for me, which, of course, helps with the carbs. And I said all that to say this. I've eaten completely junk food, just terrible, horrible junk food, but I've continued to lose weight, and I'm back down below 300 again. It really does go to show you, even when you do keto horribly, keeping your insulin low will cause you to lose weight. And, I've done blood tests several times to check my blood sugar after I eat food and stuff. My blood sugar stays low, so I know I'm not having an insulin response. It's been in the 90s, I think. And as an example, like today, before my first meal, I checked and it was 95 was my blood sugar, which is good. I'd rather it be in the 80s, but 95 is fine. And then I had my first junk food keto meal, and I'm doing intermittent fasting, which means I don't eat for a certain amount of hours. So most people shoot for between 16 and 20. I'm shooting for the 20-hour spectrum. So I crammed 2 different meals into a 4-hour period today. So I just waited until I ate both those meals, and then I went and checked my blood sugar again, and it actually went down. Went from 95 to 92. Now, that being said, blood sugar checkers are accurate within a few points. Basically, that's identical. There's really statistically no difference between 92 and 95. So basically, my blood sugar was the same. If anything, it went down. So keeping my insulin levels low, and these no foods, look, you can buy all kind of low carb stuff out there. Some of it is good, some of it's bad. I can tell you from lots of testing, the No Foods brand does not affect your blood sugar, which tells me it doesn't affect your insulin, which I trust to keep my insulin low. Because when insulin's low, you'll burn what you eat. Your body is designed to burn what you eat. It'll burn it, and then it'll start burning fat. So I don't know how much knowledge is in this podcast, but I wanted to share my personal challenges with you. I share it on my Facebook page a lot. I do Facebook videos a lot. So if you don't follow me, you should. It's Fat Guy Podcast on Facebook, and also Fat Guy Podcast on Instagram, and Fat Guy Podcast on Twitter. But, and you should also add me on Snap. If you do Snapchat, add me on Snap, because I won't say I share everything I eat. On days where I'm not depressed, I do, because I'm excited about it. These past few weeks, it's been hit or miss, but I know I've had a couple of days where I shared everything I ate all day. Today, I've shared everything I ate. So, by the time you hear this podcast, it may not still be today. So, I don't know if you'll get to see what I shared today. That stuff stays up 24 hours. But, my point is this, is keto is such a powerful concept that even when you do it poorly, it works. And there's all kinds of phrases out there. There's lazy keto, there's junk food keto. There's a more pure form of keto. So I'm going to end the podcast by ferreting out what this means, in case you're confused by that. So a ketogenic diet in its purest form seeks to eat the highest quality of whole, real foods with the least or no additives, fillers, things like that. So what would that be? Well, that would be eating organic, grass-fed, pasture-raised beef, whether it be, the ground beef or the steaks or whatever, along with some high-quality organic asparagus or some high-quality organic broccoli or organic cauliflower or greens, mustard greens, collard greens. You would cook that in some organic grass-fed butter and, season it with some salt or whatever. That would be a high-quality keto pure meal. On the other end of the spectrum is what I ate today. A wrap. A wrap they cheat and make it with a lot of fiber, supposedly insoluble fiber or whatever. So you keep the carbs low, but you're eating a highly processed food. To that, I added some Quest protein chips, which again is a highly processed food. And inside the wrap, I had Oscar Mayer cheese franks, which is a processed meat filled with a processed cheese. So that's the differences. That's the two ends of the spectrum of a ketogenic diet. And I think technically you can't even call what I ate today keto. I think what you would call today is called if it fits your macros. And so on a good ketogenic diet, you want your carbs to be 5% or less, really 20 grams or less. For most people, that comes out to around 5% of your calories from carbohydrates. But whether it is or not, you want it to be 20 grams or less. You want your protein to be in the 20% range, and you want your fat to be above 70%. And that's the macros for the ketogenic diet. So the if it fits your macros diet says, look, we don't care if it's high quality food. As long as we make the macros work, we eat it. So some people call that junk food keto. Some people call it lazy keto. I think technically the right term is if it fits your macros. So you're just like, I'll eat anything as long as my macros. As long as at the end of the day, I've had 20 or less carbs and my fat is up above, 65, 70, 75%. And then everything else is protein, then I'm good with it. I'm going to be happy with it. If I can help you in any way, I'll sure try. I do have a bit of exciting news. If I ever do manage to get myself motivated enough, I will be starting. I've done personal one-on-one coaching, but I'm going to do a very affordable group coaching thing where you'll join us in a group. We'll have conversations. We'll help each other. You'll have full access to me anytime to ask me any questions, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You'll get my personal attention to the extent that it applies to the entire group. And it's super affordable, and we'll be a bunch of cheerleaders for each other, and we'll all kick some ass. So I look forward to starting that soon. In the meantime, I try to answer as many questions as I can for free. So I right before I recorded this podcast, I replied to several questions via Facebook Messenger. And so I'll do anything I can to help you, man. My passion in life is to help people lose weight. 407 is not a place anybody should be. I didn't like being there. I don't want you to get there. And if you are there, I want to help you get out of it. And so as to the extent that time and my ability to respond to people will allow me, I'll help you, okay? The easiest thing to do is just follow me, really. And I've had two different people, both of them women, who have sent me messages or posted on my Facebook page how they didn't do anything but follow my Snapchat. And they took notes on what I ate every day on Snapchat. And they were like, I'm just going to eat that stuff. And so that's all they did. They just copied what I ate and ate it, and they lost. One of them lost over 20 pounds. And she's like, all I did was just follow your Snapchat, and everything I saw you eat for like 2 weeks, I kept notes of it, and I made the decision to do it. I went and bought groceries. I only bought that food, and I ate it, and I've lost 20 pounds. So follow me is probably my best advice if you just want some general overview of how to achieve your goals. And so to that end, I'm here for you, and I wish you all the best. Any of the social media, it's Fat Guy Podcast. So you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever, Snapchat, just by looking for Fat Guy Podcast. Thanks for listening today. I'm not a doctor. None of this is medical advice. It's just my opinion about stuff. You should always consult your doctor.